Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you remember this? I mean, some of you were here this afternoon, right? At the wonderful reading, and you at the wonderful favorite poem panel. Do you remember I was talking to you about this guy who just passed, he was 60, little more than 60, let's say, went to Sarah Lawrence and asked Tom Lux, now that I have my MFA, what do I do? That dude is 82 today and he's there. Happy birthday! So let's do it. I know it's schmaltzy, I know it's sentimental, I don't care. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miles. Happy birthday to you. And thank you, Mimi, for being Miles's Mimi. And thank you, Susan, and thank you, every single one of you. Fact, everybody. Thank you. There we go. I'm going to start my reading by a poem by Kurt Brown, with a poem by Kurt Brown. It's called Love Poem. That's why I read it, right? Okay. Love Poem. Once my poor, distracted wife put her bra in the freezer where I found it in the morning stiff with frost. And once she put rice into the bottom of my cup of tea, mistaking it for sugar, the rice that is, thinking it would sweeten the cloudy brown dregs, and then hand it to me with a smile. And once, wearing only her nightgown and my laced-up hiking boots, she stepped daintily out into the snow behind our house and waded through 3-foot drifts like a bride lifting the hem of her skirt. A memory clearer to me than our own wedding. Because sometimes love is not that serious, and what we love is joy, and the joy love brings. Though even that is too complicated for what I feel when I recall her standing in her garden in muddy overalls, hands encased in thick gloves, rubber boots up to her knees, a trowel or mulching fork in one of her hands. Love isn't always formal either, decked out in evening gowns and carrying an expensive handbag and wearing a string of pearls. Mostly it's frowsy and real and red-faced and smacking its lips in the morning, a thread of dried blood where the razor with its one keen tooth bit into a delicate ankle. Love is there every day, the smell of cooking in its hair, lips chaffed in the first frost, argumentative and cross and crying at nothing and then laughing hysterically at its own joke or yours as it trudges through snow or fishes a bra out of the freezer where it had hibernated overnight. Seriously. I needed for months after he died to remember our rooms, some lit by the trivial, others gentle with an obscurity that comforted us. It hid our own darkness. So for months, dutiful, I remembered. Rooms where friends lingered, rooms with our beds, rooms with our books, rooms with curtains that I sewed from bright cottons, tables of laughter, a chipped bowl in early light, black branches by the window bowing toward night, And those rooms too in which we came together to be away from all, and sometimes from ourselves too. I remember that also. But tonight, as I lean into the doorway to his room and stare at dusk settled there, what I remember best is how, to throw my arms around his neck, I needed to stand on the tips of my toes. Thank you. Clouds heave over the mountains, rip and rain. At last, I live in California. Years of drought, yet spring drenches everything with jasmine and citrus. The hummingbirds are drunk. All night the mockingbird, and each dawn the call and call of crows. I've been his widow now for 7 years tomorrow. At first, no tears. Everything I was told would happen as I mourned didn't. No sobs, no rage, no stage 1, 2, 3, no welcome dreams in which he would appear. His cat mourned better than I, lying on her side for weeks across his room's threshold, stretched as much as she could, back paws against one side of the door jamb, front paws to the other. She waited for him. I paced the house, the streets, no tears. I cleaned and sewed and raked and wrote, and I sat in the jacaranda's shade as its shadow soaked the orchard. I walked the beach, stooped for stones, how they would huddle in my palms, a white one tarred black, the one that looked like a fist, the other one with a hole bored straight through its center. I threw them back, the metaphors too blatant. Nights, I'd walk from the kitchen to the orchard and measured it, 1 foot in front of the other, head bent, toes to heel, heel to toes, and whispered numbers, 34 feet wide, 33 feet deep, and never tears. Bedroom. Light puddles over the old floor planks, climbs the wall behind what his place was in our bed, and glows there. Slow, past noon, jacaranda shadows douse that light and push it out of the room every day, as if they knew he didn't come back. Then reds, golds, and grays ooze into the clouds' great rooms, while dusk, all tact and hesitance, loiters by the door. And for you, for me, for my neighbor in his yellow raincoat and plaid pajama pants, and for who is inside that ambulance, yowling down the 101, light, dying, curls up inside night's wide open arms. And now I'm going to that same bed, but in the past, and we're changing tone, I hope. It's called After a Noisy Night. The man I love enters the kitchen with a groan. He just woke up, his hair a Rorschach test. A minty kiss, a hand on my neck, coffee, 2% milk microwave. He collapses on his chair, stunned with sleep, yawns, groans again, complains about his dry sinuses and crusted nose. I want to tell him how well he slept. The cacophony of his snoring pumping in long wheezels and throttles, the debacle of rhythm, hours erratic with pants and puffs and gulps, chokes, pectoral sputters and spits. But the microwave goes ding, a short little ding, sharp as a guillotine, loud enough to stop my words from killing the moment. And during the few seconds it takes the man I love to open the microwave, stir, sip, and sit there staring at his mug, I remember the vows that I made to my pillows, to fate, and to God. I will stop eating licorice. I'll become a Catholic. I'll become a lumberjack. Anything but bring a man to me. So I go to him. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry you had such a rough night. Hold his gray head against my heart and kiss him, kiss him. I hear a lot of women laughing. And not one male laughter. Mimi, stop shaking. Plastic beatitude. My neighbors, the Pazzatis, live in a long, narrow, canary yellow house with Mrs. Pazzati's old father, their 2 daughters, their husbands, and 4 kids, a tortoise-shell cat, and a white poodle. Their yard is my childhood dream. Toys, bicycles, tubs, bird cages, barbecues, planters, pails, tools, and garden sculptures. An orange squirrel eating a nut, Mickey Mouse pushing a wheelbarrow, St. Joseph carrying a lantern, his other blessing hand broken, and 2 tea-sipping toads smiling at each other under a polka-dotted parasol. On the garage wall, at the end of the yard, 2 electric cords. They shoot up the roof. One connects to a blue neon insect electrocutor, and the other snakes 2, then disappears into a pedestal cemented on the cornice, on which she stands. In plastic beatitude and 6 feet of it, the Madonna. In her white robe and blue cape, arms outstretched, blessing the Pazzati, their yard and neighbors, lit from within day and night, and calling God's little insects to her shining light, and then sending them straight to the zapper. Okay, I'm gonna need help with this one. Can you repeat after me, le soleil? Can you repeat after me, la lune? Okay, it's the sun and the moon, right? So when I go this way, you go le soleil, and then I'll go et la lune. Okay, so le soleil, do it again. Perfect. Okay. Le soleil et la lune. Look at that moon. She's all off kilter and veiled and moody again tonight. Yet, how all of Antwerp glowed with her when I was 17. I was free. I had a lover. He lived hours away, and we wrote poems to each other every day. He had never loved as much as he loved me. He discovered le soleil et la lune in my voice. La nuit, ta voix se mêle au clair de lune, au calme clair de lune triste et beau, qui fait rêver les oiseaux dans les arbres et sangloter d'extase les jets d'eau. And I believed him, and he believed it too. He had stolen those lines from Verlaine, but I know that now. But so what? For months in Flanders' moonlit streets, cafes and motel sheets, I was, you know what happened, right? It didn't last. It could be the story of your first love too. He left for the army overseas, and I for the mold and dust of libraries. But here's the point. Can I say it again? I was 17, and for months in Flanders' moonlit streets, cafes and motel sheets, I was. Thank you. I've heard it many times among us all, that we're all saying how comfortable we are here and how everybody is included and how everybody is just having a darn good time and there's no competition and who are you and all that stuff. And because I feel completely safe, I'm going to read you a poem that talks about situations that aren't our situation. Dinner at the Who's Who. Amid swirling wine and flickers of silver, guests quote Dante, Brecht, Kant, and one another. I wait in the hall after not powdering my nose, trying to recompose that woman who will graciously take her place at the table and will not tell her hosts, I looked into your bedroom and closets. I smelled your obsession and brute. I sat on your bed, imagined you in those spotless sheets, looked long into the eyes of your son staring at your walls from a velvet frame. And I tried to smile at myself in your mirrors, wondering if you smile that way too, those resilient little smiles one smiles at oneself before facing the day or another evening, guests coming for dinner. So I wait in the hall because there are nights it's hard not to blurt out enough. Stop that Pulitzer, Wall Street, PC, Dante, sex, wars, have some Chianti. Let's stop. Let's talk about our thirsts and obsessions, about our bedrooms and closets, the brutes in our mirrors, the eyes of our sons. There is time yet. Let's talk. I'm starving. Thank you. Here's to you, Tom Lux. This poem is called The Worlds in This World. Doors were left open in heaven again. Drafts wheeze, clouds wrapped their ripped pages around roofs and trees. Like wet flags, shutters flap and fold. Even light is blown out of town, its last angles caught in sopped newspaper wings and billowing plastic. And all this in one American street. Elsewhere, somewhere, a tide recedes or incense is lit, An infant sucks from a nipple, a grenade shrieks, a man buys his first cane. Think of it, the world's in this world. Yesterday, while a Chinese woman took hours to sew 7 silk stitches into a tapestry started generations ago, guards took only seconds to mop up a cannibal's brain from the floor of a Wisconsin jail, while the man who had bashed the killer's head found no place to hide and sat sobbing for his mother in a shower stall. The world's in this world. Or say 1 year, say 1916, while my grandfather, a prisoner of war in Holland, sewed perfect 18-buttoned booties for his wife with the skin of a dead dog he had found in a trench, shrapnel slit Apollinaire's brain. Jesuits brandished crucifixes in Ouagadougou, and the Parthenon was already in ruins. That year, gnawed by self-doubt, Rainer Maria Rilke couldn't write a line for weeks in Vienna's Victorgasse. And fishermen drowned off Finnish coasts, and lovers kissed for the very first time, while in Kashmir an old woman fell asleep, her cheek on her good husband's belly. And all along that year the winds kept blowing, as they do today, above oceans and steeples. And this one speck of dust was lifted from somewhere to land exactly here on my desk, and it will lift again into the worlds of this world. Say now, at this instant, 1 thornless rose opens in a blue jar above that speck. But you, reading this, don't know of how it came to flower here. And I, nothing who bred the rose, or where, or nothing of my son and daughter's fate, or of what grows in your gardens and in the trellis of your chests. Is it longing? Is it fear? Will it matter? Listen to that wind. Listen to it ranting. The doors of heaven never close. And that's the curse. And that's the miracle. It's the 2 more poems moment. This afternoon, somebody asked if we had a favorite form of poem, and I said that I liked pantoum, so I decided to read you a little pantoum. I live 4 minutes and 32 seconds away by car from a beach where I also dispersed Kurt's ashes. So I go every day, and I either go yell at him or tell him, tell him that the electricity has gone up and all that stuff. And it's called Godwit Beach. And godwits are little, those little birds that all go together and go back and go front and go back. Godwit. Godwit Beach. How appeasing the waves are today, so calm, sidling in, arm in arm. Old lovers come to linger on these sands, companions of Pacific storms and languor. So calm, sidling in, arm, they remind me of us, love, those tides. Companions of Pacific storms and languor, we came to walk along these sandstone cliffs. They remind me of us, love, those tides. Remember, it was always in the afternoon we came to walk along these sandstone cliffs below the silver ghosts of eucalyptus trees. Remember, it was always in the afternoon. We said, yes, this is where we belong, isn't it? below the silver ghosts of eucalyptus trees as the day blushes so frankly there in the west. We said, yes, this is where we belong, isn't it? Old lovers come to linger on these sands as the day blushes so frankly there way in the west. How appeasing the waves are today. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Kuhn. Miles. I called him Kuhn. Miles, Kuhn. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, workshop. We worked hard. We worked well. This last poem is called Parentage. I wonder if, okay, I'll ask you later. Should I call it provenance or parentage? Come tell me, okay? Okay. It's brand new. Parentage. Mine is not from the morass of Flanders, of the Flanders marshes, although their hues ink my eyes. Not from a mother, her head spun always away, nor from a convent wall or kisses that I hid, head bowed inside my childhood palms to quiet longing, such longing. But from a Flemish farmer once who held my face in both hands to kiss my brow for no more than a second, that brief, but with such will and tenderness that I can now lift my head far back and read the clouds. My parentage is a North Sea swell, its ancient anchors dragged back and forth, never still, waves so restless they never mirror the moon. I come from those tides, those ebbings, and from the 2 wedding bands on my finger, I come out of them too. And from every book I ever held, my shelved provenance, my language, womb, and sail. Thank you.